something's off. And not off the cliff off, but like really off. Like, have you noticed we've been seeing Jean Grey a lot lately? Like, at first it was her MCU rumor arrival in Spider-Man Brand New Day, and now we've seen her in Insomniac's Wolverine. So, with her being heavily incited to make her mainstream appearance, today I want us to dive into the question that's on all our minds. Who is Jean Grey? Welcome to Off the Cliff, where I basically sacrifice my insanity to do your homework. Today we're gonna dive into the absolutely insane and unhinged lore that is Jean Grey. We're gonna be traveling somewhere between space gods and fire birds just to find out who exactly is Jean Grey or what makes her tick. And with her upcoming arrival, I think now it's best we get to it. Shall we? Jean Grey made her first appearance in X-Men issue number 1, released in 1963, created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Jean grew up with limitless but very much latent psychic powers. They were activated after she witnessed her best friend being struck and killed by a car at age 10. This trauma triggered Jean Grey's telepathic powers, forcing her to create an empathetic link and psychically experience her friend's death. A psychiatrist recommended Professor Charles Xavier, and to help her, he suppressed her telepathy with psychic barriers, allowing her to develop her powers slowly. Jean Grey helped calibrate Cerebro, established a unique link with the young Scott Summers, aka Cyclops, and enrolled at Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters. This is where she became the first female and part of the original 5 X-Men. Okay, so we need to establish some ground rules. See, Jean Grey's story is kinda convoluted and goes through a whole lot of different places. For the sake of this video, I think we're just gonna stick to who she is and frankly how powerful she is, just to give you an idea of all of this before we get to see her on the big screens and in Marvel's Wolverine. According to Jonathan Hickman in House of X issue number 1, released in 2019, an Omega level mutant is a mutant whose dominant power is deemed to register or reach an undeniable upper limit of that power specific classification. The comic book also lists every known Omega level mutant alive at the time, and Jean Grey appears on that list. Now, it's important to know that Omega level mutant doesn't necessarily mean good at everything all the time. It clarifies that Omega level is a classification for a single power, not the mutant as a whole. For example, Jean is an Omega level mutant in telepathy, not telekinesis, even though both are her power sets. Okay, maybe a little nuance to this one. See, the erasure was of the past X-Men of their future selves. Okay, a little more nuance. In Extraction issue number 5, the young X-Men who were time displaced learn and experience their own futures. So here's how it starts. The teenage time displaced original 5 X-Men initially arrived from the 1960s in the modern era in All New X-Men released in 2012. Overstaying their welcome kinda caused chronal anomalies, which led to the mutant hunting villain Ahab tracking the teenagers to the present, attempting to kill or convert them into his hounds to permanently alter and destroy the future. A younger version of Cable orchestrated the extraction, convincing the young heroes that they must return to the exact point in the 1960s to safeguard the timeline. To avoid a massive grandfather paradox, the young Jean Grey used her telepathy to place a psychic block on their minds, completely erasing their memories of the modern day prior to them stepping back into their own original time stream. Once they transitioned back to the past successfully, the psychic block was designed to lift instantaneously, meaning the moment the young X-Men left, their modern day counterparts instantaneously unlocked and regained the suppressed memories they had experienced during their years stuck in the future. This is honestly one of Marvel's longest running jokes at this point, like, wow. And remember when I said convoluted? Yeah, you're about to find out why. The first death or should I say apparent death, happened in Uncanny X-Men issue number 100, released in 1976, written by Chris Claremont. In this issue, returning from space, the X-Men aboard a severely damaged shuttle tumble towards Earth. With the pilot cabin flooding with lethal solar radiation, Jean Grey uses her telekinesis to shield her teammates while manually flying the ship. The shuttle crashes into Jamaica Bay, New York, and emerging from the water is Jean Grey. However, remember when I said apparent? Yeah, that's cause it wasn't exactly Jean Grey. It was the Phoenix Force copying Jean Grey's memory and body, leading everyone to believe that she miraculously survived a near fatal brush with death. The second death occurred in the finale of the Dark Phoenix saga in Uncanny X-Men issue number 137, released in 1980. In this comic, corrupted by a cosmic absolute power, the entity inside Jean consumes an entire star system, killing billions. Put on trial by the alien Shi'ar Empire on the moon, a momentarily lucid Jean realizes she cannot control the darkness or keep it at bay. Rather than risk another catastrophic cosmic slaughter, she chooses, well, suicide. She triggers the ancient alien Shi'ar weapon on the moon to incinerate her. Alright, enough morbid talk. Here's the convolution, or retcon rather. 6 years later, after Jean's space crash, Marvel reveals in Avengers issue number 263 that the Jean who became the Dark Phoenix wasn't actually Jean. The real Jean Grey has been sleeping in a deep healing cocoon ever since the space shuttle crash from issue 100. In other words, the Jean who committed suicide wasn't Jean, it was her Dark Phoenix clone. Either way, it seems that Jean Grey is the most powerful mutant to have existed, shout out to the Phoenix Force, and with whispers of her appearance suddenly getting louder than your mother's Sunday cleaning music, I for one can't wait to see where they take her story in this phase or the next one, and my guess is it'll probably be her kicking off the mutant saga. Anyways, thank you so much for joining me on today's episode. Please leave a like and a comment or consider subscribing if this kind of content really interests you. And for those who are very much invested, we have our first issue of *ｓunsshine's magazine coming out on the 26th of June, which we'd really love for you to check out. But as always, back in my room, I'm Cliff, you're a nerd. Join me next time on the episode of Off the Cliff, brought to you by *ssunsshine Nerds.